Welcome to the Nevis Newscast for Friday, November 3rd, 2023. I am Fredicia Liebert. The Ministry of Water Services has commenced a water exploration exercise on Nevis dubbed Project Aquavita. The announcement was made on Wednesday, November 1st by Minister of Water Services, the Honorable Spencer Brand.
We would have sought the services of Bearock Consult, a one skip home back in August, who would have done some scientific analysis on the island of Nevis and gave us some indications as to where exactly we can drill in the exploration of water.
Minister Brand says the geophysical, hydrological, and geological data has been used to formulate a bidding process.
We have reached out to 5 drillers throughout the region, water and oil well services in Trinidad and Tobago. We have reached out to Jamaica Wells from Jamaica. We have reached out to Mario Williams from our sister island on St. Kitts. We have also reached out to Exofo from St. Martin, and finally Mr. Mark Zygonfoss of Zygonfoss Drilling Incorporated in the United States of America. Our intention is to have them return their bids by the 30th of November, which is a very narrow window. And we are hoping that by the 1st of February, whomever the selected driller is would be mobilized on the island of Nevis.
The drill sites include Stony Hill, Descents Estate, and Brazier's Estate. Minister Brand says the aim is to add 2.5 million gallons of water to the island's system.
We are hoping that the 3 sites that we will start with in the first instance would be able to produce that 2.5 million gallons of water. As the Permanent Secretary we would have indicated, there are some additional sites that we will explore, and once we are on the ground, we will see if there is a need for exploring those additional sites.
Also present were Denzel Stanley, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Water Services, and Santonia Mills, General Manager of the Nevis Water Department. One bill will receive its first reading during a sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly on Monday, November 6, 2023. According to the order paper circulated by Myra Williams, Clerk of the Nevis Island Assembly, Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Mark Brantley, will seek leave to introduce and have read a first time the Integrity in Public Life Amendment Bill 2023. The sitting will commence with the formal entry of President of the Nevis Island Assembly, the Honorable Michelle Slack Clark. This will be followed by prayers, a motion for the approval of the order paper as circulated, messages from the Deputy Governor General, announcements by the President, papers to be laid, statements by ministers, personal explanations, the introduction of the bill and first reading, and the subsequent adjournment. The Nevis Island Assembly sitting will be broadcast live from 10 a.m. on Nevis Television NTV Channel 99, Nevis Television Facebook page, and Nevis Newscast YouTube channel. Consumers using a debit card to transact business in St. Kitts and Nevis are not subject to spending more than necessary, as some businesses claim. However, the rules are different when using a credit card. The application of a minimum spending requirement was highlighted on the November 1st edition of the program In Focus, which featured staff from the Federal Ministry of Consumer Affairs. Communications Officer Tricia Rollins noted that the department has received multiple reports about persons being forced to spend more money unnecessarily. Upon investigation, officials at the Department of Consumer Affairs discovered that imposing a minimum purchase requirement for debit cards is also against Visa's policies and regulations. It is not the case when using a credit card, as the rules allow that a minimum purchase amount can be established. The public is advised to report any violations to the Department of Consumer Affairs at 467-1550 or send an email to consumeraffairs@gov.kn. Persons can also send a private message to facebook.com/consumeraffairskn. Still to come.
So the price gouging that we hear about, that is what really is not the only concern. It is you, the consumer.
The details right after this break.
As a responsible taxpayer, you help to finance free health care at all health centers on Nevis. Thank you for putting country above self. This message was brought to you by the Inland Revenue Department, Nevis. Be a responsible citizen.
Welcome back. Federal Minister of Consumer Affairs, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas, says the Consumer Protection Act 2023 will be a landmark piece of legislation in St. Kitts and Nevis. The Consumer Protection Bill 2023 was passed in the National Assembly on Monday, October 30th. Minister Douglas was the mover of the bill.
This bill seeks to provide for the promotion and the protection of consumer interests in relation to the supply of goods and the provision of services, and to ensure that there is appropriate protection of life, of health and safety of consumers. It is to ensure that there is established a Consumer Affairs Department, or maybe I would say a revisiting of the Consumer Affairs Department in the ministry I've just mentioned, and also for other purposes. This bill is bringing into being the consumer protection in another phase in this long history of supporting consumers and their rights and interests.
Under the Act, the Consumer Protection Board will be responsible for receiving complaints from the Consumer Affairs Department on overpricing, foreign language labeling, unfair terms, and poor quality or damaged goods, as well as monitoring the investigations of these complaints and, where necessary, seek to resolve disagreements between a consumer and a supplier in relation to goods and services.
When the price goes on a product that has been put on the shelves, we expect that the price has been determined as a result of the import cost, genuine import cost, and the markup, which is allowed by law, imposed, of course, set by the government. Anything out of that is price gouging, and we're going to come after them. So the price gouging that we hear about, that is what really is not the only concern. It is you, the consumer. Look at some of the things that I have mentioned, making sure that the businessman is complying with what the law says, and the consumer protection officer doing his job properly to ensure that the consumer is protected.
Federal Minister of Consumer Affairs, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs wishes to inform members of the public that the Embassy of the United States of America to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean will visit the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis from Sunday, November 5th until Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. The consular office will only accept applications for U.S. passports that have been scheduled and consular reports of birth abroad. To schedule an appointment, visit the U.S. Embassy's website at bb.usembassy.gov. That's it for this edition of the Nevis Newscast. On behalf of all of us here at the Department of Information, I'm Fredicia Liebert. Thank you for viewing.